Hello lovelies, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about Victorian foods that you can still buy today. And I've always been interested in different foods and what era they came from. I just love snacks and different branding and commercials, so I was always fascinated and I really like the Victorian era. So I wanted to kind of research and see what people ate there, and I was curious to find out which foods that were invented in the Victorian time period that you can still buy today. So let's go down the list. So the first one is Quaker Oats, and this is obviously a common staple in most people's kitchens. And Quaker Oats were invented in 1850 by General Mills, American cereal company in Akron, Ohio. Quaker Oats registered as the first trademark for a breakfast cereal. The trademark was registered with the U.S. Patent Office as a figure of a man in a Quaker garb. Both former owners, Henry Seymour and William Heston, claim to have selected the Quaker name as a symbol of good quality and honest value. And in 1882, Crowell launches the first national magazine advertising program for a breakfast cereal. In 1888, 7 of the largest American oat millers, including Consolidated Principles, unite as the American Cereal Company. And in 1890, the American Cereal Company runs a special all Quaker Oats train from Cedar Rapids to Portland, Oregon, and introduces the first ever trial-size samples. And these are small little boxes of Quaker Oats, which are delivered to every mailbox in Portland, Oregon. And in 1891, the Quaker brand becomes the first brand to feature a recipe on its box, and this was the first ever oatmeal bread. And in 1901, the American cereal changes its name to the Quaker Oats Company. So it was really interesting to see how Quaker Oats progressed over the years, and I honestly did not realize it was that old. I never even put 2 and 2 together, to be honest. But obviously I grew up eating Quaker oatmeal. I think most people did. And I think the instant oatmeal didn't come out until the 1960s. And next on the list is Cadbury Cocoa, and obviously this is another classic, and this one was founded in 1824 by John Cadbury, a Quaker who began selling tea, coffee, and drinking chocolate in Bull Street in Birmingham, England. From 1831, he moved into the production of a variety of cocoa and drinking chocolates made in a factory in Bridge Street and sold mainly to the wealthy because of the high cost of production. In 1847, John Cadbury became a partner with his brother Benjamin, and the company became known as Cadbury Brothers. In 1847, Cadbury's competitor, Fry's, Bristol produced the first chocolate bar, which would be mass-produced as Fry's Chocolate Cream in 1886. Cadbury introduced his brand of the chocolate bar in 1849, and the same year, Cadbury and Fry's chocolate bars were displayed publicly at a trade fair in Bingley Hall, Birmingham. The Cadbury Brothers opened an office in London, and in 1854, they received the royal warrant as manufacturers of chocolate and cocoa to Queen Victoria. The company went into decline in the late 1850s. John Cadbury's sons, Richard and George, took over the business in 1861. At this time of the takeover, the business was in rapid decline. The number of employees had reduced from 20 to 11, and the company was losing money. By 1886, Cadbury was profitable again. The brothers had turned around the business by moving the focus from tea and coffee to chocolate and increasing the quality of their products. In 1861, the company created fancy boxes and decorated boxes of chocolates, and in 1868 they were solid boxes in the shape of a heart for Valentine's Day. So it seems like they were kind of the first chocolate company to create the classic Valentine's Day chocolate heart. And they were the first to manufacture the Easter egg. In 1875, Cadbury created the modern chocolate Easter egg after developing a pure cocoa butter that could be molded into smooth shapes. And by 1893, Cadbury had 19 different varieties of chocolate Easter eggs on sale. So obviously everyone knows Cadbury cream eggs now for Easter, and there's Cadbury mini eggs, so they're still kind of one of the main people for the Easter market as well. And next on the list is Coca-Cola, and I know everyone grew up with Coca-Cola, and I always knew it was a fairly old company, but I didn't realize it was from 1886. So Confederate John Pemberton, wounded in the American Civil War and addicted to morphine, also had a medical degree and began a quest to find a substitute for the problematic drug. In 1885, at Pemberton's Eagle Drug and Chemical House, his drugstore in Columbus, Georgia, he registered Pemberton's French wine cocoa nerve tonic. Pemberton's tonic may have been inspired by the formidable success of Vin Mariani, a French Corsican cocoa wine, but his recipe additionally included the African cola nut, the beverage source of caffeine. In 1886, when Atlanta and Fulton Company passed prohibition legislation, Pemberton responded by developing Coca-Cola, a non-alcoholic version of Pemberton's French wine coca. It was marketed as Coca-Cola, the temperance drink, which appealed to many people as the temperance movement enjoyed wide support during this time. The first sales were at Jacob's Pharmacy in Atlanta, Georgia on May 8, 1886, where it initially sold for 5 cents a glass. Drugstore soda fountains were popular in the United States at the time due to the belief that carbonated water was good for the health, and Pemberton's new drink was marketed and sold as a patent medicine. Pemberton claiming it a cure for many diseases including morphine addiction, indigestion, nerve disorders, headaches, and impotence. Pemberton ran the first advertisement for the beverage. And I just love looking at the vintage Coca-Cola ads, and to be honest, I would really kill to try one of the original Coca-Colas. I just want to know what it tastes like. I'm sure if I found an old bottle, it'd be worth a fortune today and it would probably taste off. But I don't know, I really want to try a retro Coca-Cola. Let me know if anyone's tried one before. And next on the list is shredded wheat. And shredded wheat was invented by Henry Perky in Denver, Colorado in 1890, as well as the founding cereal machine company. In 1895, Perky received United States patent number 548086 dated 15th of October 1895. Perky first sold his shredded wheat cereal to vegetarian restaurants in 1892, distributing it from a factory in Niagara Falls. And shredded wheat is kind of a classic cereal again for me. I like the long, bigger piece ones that's super vintage. And I remember when I was younger, I used to heat it up in the microwave with milk and then sprinkle some sugar on top. And it's pretty healthy too, so it's one of my favorite cereals. And next on the list is Fig Newtons. Honestly, I thought Fig Newtons were from the 80s. I had no idea that they were this old. And until the late 19th century, many physicians believed that most illnesses were related to digestion problems and recommended a daily intake of biscuits and fruit. Fig rolls were the ideal solution to this advice. They were a locally produced and handmade product until a Philadelphia baker and fig lover, Charles Roser, invented them and patented a machine in 1891 which inserted fig paste into a thick pastry dough. And the Kennedy Biscuit Company purchased the Roser recipe and started mass production. The first Fig Newtons were baked at F.A. Kennedy Steam Bakery in 1891. The product was named after the city of Newton, Massachusetts. And contrary to the popular belief, it has nothing to do with Sir Isaac Newton. And for some reason, I feel like the original Fig Newtons were probably really good compared to the new ones. I just ate one of the newer ones. They're okay, but it's not my favorite snack. And next on the list is a Canadian company, and this is Red Rose Tea. Red Rose Tea is a beverage company established by Theodore Harding Estabrook in 1894 in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada. Estabrook began his career in trade imports and exports, and soon moved specifically to the tea trade. Realizing the inconsistency in loose leaf servings, Estabrook began packaging his tea leaves into single-serving bags to ensure quality and consistency in every teacup. And I know Red Rose Tea is super famous in Canada and kind of a classic, almost like Tetley tea. I know too that I've heard many people, Americans, like my relatives that live in the United States, whenever they come to Canada, they always stockpile on Red Rose Tea because apparently it's really hard to find like a high quality kind of tea that you can get at the grocery store, because I know like Tetley tea and stuff are super watered down. I don't know if it's still like that. Let me know in the comments below. I'm sure you guys have also specialty tea shops, so this is just kind of what I heard. Next on the list is Colemans Mustard, and Colemans was established in 1814 and is an English manufacturer of mustard and other sauces, formerly based and produced for 160 years in Carrow, Norwich, Norfolk. Colemans is one of the oldest existing food brands, famous for a limited range of products almost all varieties of mustard. And I was really disappointed. I was hoping to find some at the local grocery store, but I didn't. So maybe you have to go to a specialty store to get Colemans Mustard. Let me know if you have it at your grocery store. And next on the list is another drink, and this is Pepsi. And Pepsi is not as old as Coca-Cola. Pepsi was first introduced as Brad's drink in New Bern, North Carolina in the United States in 1893. And he made it in his drugstore where the drink was sold. It was renamed Pepsi Cola in 1898, and then Pepsi because it was advertised to relieve dyspepsia, today more commonly known as indigestion or upset stomach, and cola referring to the cola flavor. Some have also suggested that Pepsi may have been a reference to the drink aiding digestion like the digestive enzyme pepsin. But pepsin itself was never used as an ingredient to Pepsi Cola. The original recipe also included sugar and vanilla. Bradham sought to create a fountain drink that was appealing and would aid in digestion and boost energy. So it's really interesting how all of these different pops started as a health product and kind of now they are not that at all, and they're just filled with a ton of sugar and aren't really healthy for you. So I feel like maybe the original formula was obviously a lot different than today's. And another one is a Canadian company based out of Victoria, BC. And this is a chocolate, and they're called Victoria Creams, and they're Rogers chocolates. And this is a son of a farmer from the eastern United States who moved to Victoria, Canada, and his name is Charles Rogers. And he moved here in 1885. He very quickly established a green grocery on the west side of Government Street across from the location he would later develop into the iconic heritage store we call home today. Alongside the fruits and vegetables, Charles sold chocolates that were imported from San Francisco. He married a local girl, Leah Morrison, and with tourists and locals buying up their sweets as fast as they could stock the shelves, Charles decided to begin making the chocolates himself. His very first and original creation, the Victoria Cream, quickly became a local favorite and thus began his career as Canada's first chocolatier. And I had no idea that this was Canada's first chocolatier. And this business is still here today, and the original store is still on Government Street, so if you ever visit Victoria, make sure you hit up the original Rogers chocolates. And apparently it's also haunted. And next on the list is Heinz baked beans. And in 1886, Heinz baked beans were first sold at the Fort Num and Mason department store in London. After opening its first overseas office in London in 1896, the company opened its first UK factory in Peckham, South London in 1905. Between 1941 and 1948, the Ministry of Food classified Heinz baked beans as an essential food and as a part of wartime rationing. I remember there was different times in my life where I was trying to save money. I would buy flats of Heinz baked beans from Costco and eat those as protein and energy. And next on the list is Hires Root Beer. And this is another soda beverage developed by Keurig Dr. Pepper, introduced in 1876. So it's actually older than Coca-Cola, and I had no idea. And it's considered the second longest continuously made soft drink in the United States. And I went to look for it again at the grocery store and I couldn't find it, so maybe it's more popular in the United States instead of Canada, or maybe you need to go to certain stores to get it. So just let me know if you've seen it recently at your grocery store. I'm just kind of curious. And next is Jello, and the original gelatin dessert began in Leroy, New York in 1897 after Pearl Bixby Waite and wife May trademarked the name for the product made from strawberry, raspberry, orange, or lemon flavoring added to sugar and granulated gelatin, which had been patented in 1845. The dessert was especially popular in the first half of the 20th century. Gelatin, a protein produced from collagen extracted from boiled bones, connective tissues, and other animal products, has been a component of food, particularly desserts, since the 15th century. And gelatin was popularized in New York in the Victorian era with spectacular and complex jelly molds. Gelatin was sold in sheets and it had to be purified, which was very time consuming, and gelatin desserts were the province of royalty and the relatively well-to-do. So it's interesting how Jello now is so affordable, but I guess back then, especially in the Victorian era, the process was very complicated, and I just love to see some of these elaborate Jello molds. I bet they were quite spectacular. I've always wanted to make a humongous, massive Jello mold. And next on the list is Campbell's soup, and the company was started in 1869 by Joseph A. Campbell, a fruit merchant from Bridgerton, New Jersey, and Abraham Anderson, an icebox manufacturer from South Jersey. They produce canned tomatoes, vegetables, jellies, soups, condiments, and mince meats. In 1876, Anderson left the partnership and became the Joseph A. Campbell Preserve Company. Anderson's son, Campbell Spielman, split paths with his father and continued to work at Campbell's as creative director, originally designing the Campbell soup cans. And I feel like the Campbell's soup can has been so iconic, especially with Andy Warhol and pop art. It's just such an iconic, almost staple, especially if you look back on the 20th century. Next on the list is cornflakes. And cornflakes is a breakfast cereal made from toasting flakes of corn. The cereal, originally made with wheat, was created by William Kellogg in 1894 for his brother John Kellogg. John Kellogg wanted a food that would be healthy for his patients of the Battle Creek Sanitarium in Michigan, where he was a superintendent. The breakfast cereal proved popular among the patients, but Will Kellogg wanted to add sugar to increase the popularity. John Kellogg did not approve of this, so Will Kellogg started his own company, Kellogg Company, to produce cornflakes for the wider public. A patent for the process was granted in 1896 after a legal battle between the two brothers. Heinz ketchup is such a classic, and I can't believe how old it is, from 1869. I love the vintage glass bottles too. And I feel like when people think of ketchup, they think of Heinz ketchup. You know what I mean? So it's kind of almost defined the whole category of ketchup. Lastly is Maxwell House Coffee. So this one was invented in 1884. Joel Cheek moved to Nashville and met Roger Nolly Smith, a British coffee broker. He was said to be able to tell the origin of a coffee simply by smelling the green beans. Over the next few years, the two worked on finding the perfect blend. In 1892, Cheek approached the food buyer for Maxwell House Hotel and gave him 20 pounds of a special blend for free. After a few days, the coffee was gone, and the hotel returned to using its usual brand. But after hearing complaints from patrons and others who liked the Cheek's coffee better, the hotel bought Cheek's blend exclusively. After 6 months, the hotel agreed to allow Cheek to name his coffee after its first big sale. Inspired by his success, Cheek resigned from his job as a coffee broker, and partner Maxwell Colburn formed a wholesale grocery distributor known as the Nashville Coffee and Manufacturing Company. They specialize in coffee, with Maxwell House Coffee, as it came to be known, as a central brand. Later, the Nashville Coffee Manufacturing Company was renamed as the Cheek Neal Coffee Company. Over the next several years, the Maxwell House Coffee brand became a well-respected name that set it apart from the competition. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed my list of different Victorian foods that you can still buy today. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the big red button below. Also, I have a YouTube membership, and with this membership you get 3 bonus videos a month plus 1 bonus live stream, and you also get 20% off vintage doll cosmetics, and this is my vintage inspired beauty brand. And you also get a free vintage mirror with your first vintage doll cosmetics purchase. So make sure you check this out. It's located right next to my subscribe button. You'll see a join button. I'll also link the link below. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Dahlias in the Attic. I'll link that below. Alright, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you again soon. Bye!